What's up, guys? So we are back for part two of Settle the Score this week. So one of the first topics we're going to talk about right now is a whole little Hall of Fame debate. So I'm going to give you a couple of quarterbacks, and we're going to debate whether they should be in the Hall of Fame or not. So we have Eli Manning, Philip Rivers, Donovan McNabb, and Matt Ryan. And first, we're going to start off with Eli Manning. Do you guys think he should be a Hall of Famer or not?
So I'll start. I'm going to say yes. I think he should be a Hall of Famer. Firstly, we could talk about his accolades, which is the 2 Super Bowls, of course, with the amazing, upset over the Patriots in 2008. That's obviously one of the biggest upsets ever and a crowning moment for his career. He also has the touchdowns, 366. I don't remember where that puts him, but it's got to be top 15, I'm sure. There's obviously concerns with his interceptions, for example. He's had some shaky seasons, but he's had the longevity. He had the 210 Ironman streak where he started all in a row. For me, it's a combination of it's the Super Bowls, it's the touchdowns, and it's the longevity.
Okay, so as a Giants fan, just keep that in mind. This is my answer. Do I believe he will get into the Hall of Fame? Yes, I do. Do I believe he's a Hall of Famer? No. I have watched him over the course of his career. He has never stood out to me as a top quarterback at any time in his career. And to Guy's point, he is 7th all-time on the touchdowns list, actually coincidentally behind Rivers. He's going to get in the 2 Super Bowl rings. My argument is that it is a team sport. He didn't do it by himself. Granted, he made some great career-defining plays in those Super Bowls. To Manningham, he made the play to Tyree. That was a miracle. I've never seen him move that much in a pocket, especially over the last few years. That still amazes me how he actually moved.
He didn't move. They kind of fell off him. He kind of glided. They just magically But that's besides
he's a magician.
I was just about to say he may as well have done a magic trick and did the Star Wars Force in them or something. I don't know what it was, but he made those plays. But over the course of his career, I just never thought of him as a Hall of Famer. I think he was a good quarterback. Never thought of him as elite. The Giants had decent teams, but he was able to get them to pull through in those championship runs. I mean, his career number speaks for himself. He's 117 and 117. He's a mediocre quarterback. This is my phrase I like to use when I get into this argument with people. He was a mediocre quarterback that won 2 Super Bowls, and for that reason, I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, but he will get in because of those 2 Super Bowls.
All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go on my argument for this one. I think I understand the argument why he's not a Hall of Famer. I do. I actually understand it. But that being said, I do think he's a Hall of Famer. I think if you play in 222 games, 234 games throughout your entire career, and you have a games played streak of 210 while you're top 7 all time in passing yards. Coincidentally, he's also 1 spot behind Philip Rivers. I think that is a testament to his game. People don't really understand. You have to be incredibly consistent and incredibly great to play that long. I mean, just the amount of games he's played in has just been tremendous. He's been a guy who's been reliable, durable. He's definitely someone who you feel like you could count on to kind of come up in a big moment and play in a big spot. So I think kind of that gives Eli Manning a little bit of an edge over other quarterbacks as he got those 2 Lombardis. Not necessarily I think that he is like an elite quarterback. Like you said, he was never an elite quarterback. But that being said, if you've played for over 20 years, you have to be over 15 seasons. You have to be that great to be in the league for that long and to play that long, and to be the face of a franchise since 2004 is something I think really should be a testament and stood for. Additionally, 7th all time in passing yards, and additionally, he's in the top 10 in completion percentage. So these are 2 major passing statistics that he's in the top 10 in.
To your point, I'm sorry to cut. I just wanted to stop you there for a second. You mentioned something that I was going to touch on, his leadership. He's been a great spokesperson for the NFL. He's been a great spokesperson for the Giants. The fans love him. Yes, he may not have had the most amazing career, but he got I'm going to say he got us to 2 Super Bowls. He's been a great representation for the NFL over the last I believe it was 19 years his official playing career. So yeah,
I mean,
I think that's also part of the
just
Hall of Fame
just in terms of
conversation.
like why I think he should get in, just like I said before, people don't realize you have to be incredibly good and incredibly consistent to play for that long. Like you
Yeah, I
can't just
think
be another scrub. Like if you have the reliability and if you need a guy who you can depend on and who's tough, I definitely think that says a lot about Eli Manning.
I think a lot of people will use the compiling argument against him, which I kind of get. Like, yes, he played a long time. That's why he was able to amass such a high like amount of yards, touchdowns. But I don't think that should be a point against him because, as you said, the longevity is a big thing because
It's
it's hard to stay on the field. It's
Oh,
football.
it is. It's
You know,
very
it's
hard. And if you're going to tell me I'm going to have a quarterback for the next 15 to 20 years, I'm going to take that any time of the day.
and
especially when
another.
the Giants. I'm sorry to cut. I also wanted to make this point
No,
to
it's
what you're
fine
saying to staying on the field in that whole streak. The Giants haven't had a good offensive line like
for a long time.
Yeah.
ever. Even during the two Super Bowl runs, maybe they were a little bit better, but the Giants have never had a good offensive line. That's always been something they've been consistently drafting and consistently failing on getting, like, recruiting good linemen. And so I think it also, to that point, he's been able to last this long, getting hit constantly. Toward the end of his career, I think he wasn't able to – he was older now. He wasn't able to move as much, so I just
The
want to
teams
add
are
that
just bad
point
the
on.
past few years too.
Right. It just
Yeah, he wasn't winning with them.
I mean,
But
right.
another point against him though is during the Super Bowl runs, we did have elite defenses.
oh yeah.
Like
I mean,
the team against the Patriots, unbelievable.
well,
You know, just
they
holding
won
them
those
to
Super
14
Bowls
points.
by getting pressure on Brady and the running game. That's why. I mean, that's really
Yeah,
why they won
yeah,
the
of course.
2011, I'll give him that. He was phenomenal in that postseason. I have to admit, that was probably one of the greatest throws ever in
He
the
was
history.
amazing.
And he's had,
Yeah,
like I said, if you want to be in the Hall of Fame too, he's also had iconic moments. He's that throw to Mario Manningham. He has the play with Tyree. He has the 2 Super Bowls already. Like, he has these moments, and I feel like when you look for the Hall of Famer, you need a certain eye test to be a Hall of Famer. Like, he does have the name. He has the Manning name. He's got the moments. He played his entire career with the New York Giants, one of the biggest markets. So I feel like he has the whole backstory behind him. But like what Sam was saying, his production for a Hall of Famer is definitely on the lower end. I can't even
Yeah.
I can't
100%.
deny that one. I mean, if you're 117 and 117 with 247 interceptions throughout your career, there's going to be some critics, and I completely understand it. But just for me, I feel like in terms of the eye test and what Eli Manning did for the game and kind of what he's been able to accomplish throughout his tenure as a career, and that he's had all these passing statistics in the top 10 of 2 major passing yards and passing completions, I would say he's a Hall of Famer. But I do understand your point why you think he wouldn't be, because he was never an elite quarterback ever.
So what gives me pause is that I feel like if he, let's say, lost to the Patriots twice, I feel like we're just saying, no, he's not a Hall of Famer.
Oh, 100%.
Oh, 100%.
Just not a question.
That's what makes me feel like that like gives me a big point against him, because if he loses those 2 games, let's say by a touchdown or whatever, I feel like this isn't even a conversation.
Or even one.
Yeah,
maybe
even
one.
The first Super Bowl, I think, could really, that's like a legacy defining moment.
I mean, for me, I have him in. I do. I have him in. But
I do have him in. It is a bit hypocritical on my part to mention the Super Bowls as, a defining factor, but I think he has the stats. Maybe he wasn't elite. He had the longevity. He had the Super Bowls. He had the big moments. Stand-up guy.
Okay, so
To me, he's in.
Another quarterback we're going to go on to is Phillip Rivers. And Phillip Rivers has quite a complicated legacy, because Phillip Rivers' numbers are they're better than Eli Manning's. He has a higher completion percentage by 4.6 percentage points. He's at 64.7. Eli Manning's at 60.1. He has 31 more touchdowns, 397 to 366 for Manning, and he has 46 less interceptions. He only threw 198, and Eli Manning threw 244. But that being said, Phillip Rivers also never won on Lombardi. Phillip Rivers' teams notoriously have been first-round upsets in 2006 when they were 14-2 versus the New England Patriots, and then they also got upset by the New York Jets in 2009 when they were 13-3. So these are a couple of things I think are against Phillip Rivers. But if I'm just looking at it in terms of overall production and what Phillip Rivers has been able to do in the field, I would say Phillip Rivers is in. He's been with the LA Chargers. Now he's going to be playing with the Colts, but he was with the LA Chargers for his entirety of his career. He made a bunch of Pro Bowls, and additionally, what I think he says, he's also 6th all-time in passing too. So this is another guy. I feel like if you're just going to go off productions and not his team winning, I think definitely he's a guy that should be in the Hall of Fame. Additionally, he played through a torn ACL versus the New England Patriots in 2007, which if anyone's ever had a torn ACL, most guys can't even get up from a torn ACL. And the fact that he played through a full game was mind-boggling to me. So those are a couple of the cases I make in terms of how exactly his numbers compare to Eli Manning and why I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. But I'm up to give some debate. What do you guys think about that?
Philip Rivers. Okay, so this is where the conversation becomes interesting because, as we've said, the whole team stat. It's Super Bowl is a team stat.
It
It's
is
not
a
an
team
individual
stat. I mean,
stat.
one guy does not win a Super Bowl.
Definitely.
So, to your point, Rivers had a better. I mean, he marginally had more touchdowns than Eli.
And he had a better completion percentage.
He had better statistics, but he doesn't have the Super Bowl. So if you want, there's that. It's that argument.
It depends. Do you want the guy with the Lombardis, or do you want the guy with the statistics?
Exactly. That's what the argument comes down to. At the end of the day, my answer is I think Philip Rivers. If you're gonna, I hate to say it this way, I feel like if you're gonna put Eli in the Hall of Fame, then Rivers is.
If you're gonna put
I
Eli
agree with that
Manning in,
completely.
I 100% agree. You have to put in Philip Rivers. I do.
I think you can either have both or you can't have either.
100%.
100%. I think I agree with that.
Because when I think of Philip Rivers, like Hayden mentioned, he had those two playoff appearances, both very impressive records, 12-4, 13-3.
And he has a better career record than Eli Manning. Philip Rivers is 104 and I believe 101, so he is 23.
He played better. He played better. Certainly played better.
He had LT.
He had LT.
He had a Hall of Fame running back. So I think based on Eli, my only argument, quite honestly, is that based off of Eli getting in, I believe he gets in. But not because I actually think he's a Hall of Fame. Once again, he's not a Hall of Fame quarterback, but he's going to get it and based off of the standard that has been set by other quarterbacks. So we'll be joining him in the Hall of Fame.
I don't know, man. I mean, if you're going to tell me the guy who's 6th all-time in passing is not going to, I feel like Philip Rivers, that signifies he is going to get in, Philip Rivers.
But where to get his team? I hate this, but
I think a lot of people have the problem with they want the quarterback to be elite or whatever, but a lot of quarterbacks are going to be guys who are just playing a lot of years and they compile these touchdowns. Like if you're playing for so long, you're going to be high on that list.
If you're going to play, exactly to your point, if you're going to play for 20 years.
Yeah, but that's also a testament to your ability.
Then you're not good.
There's also a testament.
It depends on what you think.
That's also a testament to your ability. If you're playing in the league for that long, you have to be that good as well.
I feel
you're not in the league for 20 years as a coincidence.
Yeah, for some people, the longevity is a big deal. For others, it's like, oh, you threw 20 touchdowns a year for 20 years. That's not that great on per year, but you're going to have a lot of touchdowns. So for some people, they're like, oh, you have 400 touchdowns, but what did you do with it? It really depends on how you feel about that.
No, yeah, definitely. So another quarterback we're going to get is we're going to talk about Donovan Mcnabb. So Donovan Mcnabb was the quarterback for the Eagles for the early 2000s and throughout his time in Philadelphia. He went to 5 conference championships in 2001, 2003, 2004, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, and 2008 with the Eagles. He went to 1 Super Bowl. But one of the things that Donovan Mcnabb is most remembered is not being able to perform in crunch time with the Philadelphia Eagles, where they lost all those conference title games. So his statistics are significantly lower than Eli Manning and Philip Rivers, but that's also because he played a lot. He played a little bit less. So in terms of the mark of consistency, I would put with Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb had an incredible amount of consistency in terms of his ability to just get his team to the playoffs each and every season and win the division. But I don't know. In my opinion, Donovan McNabb is at the whole of really, really close, but I don't think he gets in. I don't know if he gets in.
I think for me, it's
yeah.
Sorry,
No, you go.
I think he definitely played very, very well when he in those years that he played. Obviously, the Super Bowl loss hurts. The 5 conference championships is very impressive. For me, this is where the longevity just isn't enough. I don't think he played enough years and didn't compile enough numbers to be deserving of it. I think if he had a couple more years, maybe I would feel better about putting him in. But as of right now, I just don't think he has enough of a resume to make it in.
I also 100% agree with that. I was going to make the same argument. Granted, you're an NFL quarterback. Football players aren't supposed to last 20 years as Brady and Eli and all of them have, but he only played 11 years. When I say only, 11 years is not bad for an NFL quarterback, but for a Hall of Fame quarterback, it's not particularly good. I don't think he had a bad career. He went 98-62. That's pretty good, but
He's good.
I don't.
But also
just
I
the
think
statistics. I'm sorry. Just let me one second. I think the statistics, you can't even really compare them to those other guys because he played 5 or 6 less years. But based off of his statistics, if you're going to compare it to other people, I don't quite think he's a Hall of Famer. 5 conference championship games is great. That is very impressive. But 0-1 in the Super Bowl, it just, in my mind, doesn't add up to a Hall of Famer.
The thing I'm going to argue for Mcnabb, though, is that Mcnabb had a remarkable amount of consistency for like a run. McNabb's run of consistency was probably better than you could say Rivers or Eli's during that period of time. I think you could arguably say that. So I feel like if you're going to put guys over their careers for the longevity in the long term, you also have to look at the short term periods, because there are guys like Gale Sayers, for example, is a running back that one of the greatest running backs ever, but he didn't play too long either. And Jim Brown played only a few amount of seasons. So I definitely think the NFL definitely puts a premium on runs. And McNabb had one of the great runs in the NFL during the early 2000s and mid 2000s. I think that's something to really consider if you're going to look at those other 2 quarterbacks, because I do believe there's a very strong case that Donovan McNabb should get in, and I think he could very well get in because he had a run that was very prominent for a pretty short period of time now.
My question to you on that, Hayden, is of those 5 conference championships, how many of them were consecutive?
How many of them? Okay, so 2001, 2002, he went to 4 straight. He went to one in 2001. Wow. He went to one 2002, 2003, and 2004. He lost to the Panthers, Rams, and the Buccaneers, and then he beat the Falcons in one of them. But the one thing I'll say about the Eagles is that he lost, arguably, 2 of those. He was the better team. He was the better team versus the Buccaneers, and the better team versus the Panthers. So you could say he lost 2 conference championship games as the better team.
My thing is, I think still with the Super Bowl, let's say he did beat the Patriots, I still don't think he has enough to be in the Hall of Fame. So I don't think that really.
Yeah.
He would have had a better case. I'm definitely a big longevity guy. I feel that a guy needs to be playing for a certain amount of time to compile those numbers. Some people, I see your idea with the peak, like having an elite peak is worthy of it. But to me, I'm on the other side of the fence. I say you do need the peak, but you also need the longevity.
You want to know who's a quarterback who I think is very similar to McNabb a little bit? Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco had a great run with a little bit.
He's not even close. He's not even close to me.
I feel like.
I agree.
I'm just talking about like the career trajectory they had. They both had like a great peak, and that their postseasons were tremendous. Because Joe Flacco had a great postseason with the Ravens, and they beat.
Yeah, he had a phenomenal postseason.
They won.
Yeah. No, he had.
I think McNabb was better than Flacco.
Oh, I agree with you. McNabb is better, but like I'm just talking about their career.
I think McNabb was fantastic. I think if he kept his career up for more than he did, he would have been definitely a Hall of Famer.
All right. So
my problem with him is the length.
Okay, so the last quarterback we're going to talk about is Matt Ryan. So what do you guys think of Matt Ryan, Hall of Famer or not?
I can take this one.
Yeah, you can take this one.
So ignoring the obvious elephant in the room with the Super Bowl, Ryan has been fantastic. As it stands right now, I think he's playing better than both Eli and Rivers. And if he continues, I think his resume would deserve it. But I think it's going to be very difficult for people to get over that Super Bowl if he doesn't win another one. I could see it's just a big monkey on his back in my eyes. I would still vote him in if he continues, but it's just a legacy ruiner for me.
For me with Matt Ryan, just that he's been on the same team for, like I said, he also has a longevity too. Right now, he's only played 11 seasons as opposed to Philip Rivers and Eli Manning, who have played 15. So he's played 11 seasons right now, and he's at 51,000 yards, put him 10th all time at passing yards. So if he plays another 4 seasons, he's going to be, let's say he throws for 4,000 yards in 4 straight seasons. That's going to be 16,000 yards. That would put him at 5th all-time in passing, above Marino, above Rivers, above Eli, and above Big Ben. So I definitely
Also,
those
he'll
are
probably have
obvious.
400 touchdowns too.
yeah, that's something that's really to consider. I mean, production-wise, I would say he is probably a better quarterback. And you could say he's arguably a better quarterback than both those in terms of what he produced each and every
I think he's better than both, for
Yeah,
sure.
in terms of what
As
he's
a pure
produced,
quarterback,
yeah.
I think he's both.
But that
The
being said, he
problem-
also doesn't have the winning percentage that those other guys have. I mean, last
With-
season, Matt Ryan threw for 4,500 yards.
But okay, so that was going to be my argument. So he threw for 4,500. So last year was an off year for the Falcons. I think you kind of have to unfortunately throw that season in the garbage for his Hall of Fame argument. I think right now, I agree with you. I think he's on the trajectory to get to be a Hall of Famer. But I think the Falcons really, really, really need to get back to serious contention and at least get to a conference championship game, a Super Bowl, by the time his career is over. Because, I mean, Guy mentioned the elephant in the room, the 28-3. I mean, he needed the defense to show up a little bit more in that second half, obviously. But I think overall right now he is looking like a Hall of Famer, but he needs a little bit more help and he needs to be consistent over the next 5 or 6, however many years Matt Ryan has left in his playing career.
I mean, Matt Ryan also won an MVP, and so that's one of the things the other quarterbacks did not.
That helps. That obviously helps. So, yeah, I think right now he's heading in that direction, but he needs to keep it up.
I would
Okay.
still vote him in, even
I'd
if
vote
he
him in
doesn't win
too.
a Super Bowl, though.
I'd vote him in too. So the next topic we're going to get on, one of the final topics we're going to talk about is college athletes eligibility. So in terms of college athletes being declared eligible, winter athletes were declared not eligible for an extra season in their 5th year, but spring athletes were. So one of the things I think could be a potential problem with spring athletes that my father previously brought up was that, let's say these athletes get a job right after their senior year, and they're making $80,000. Are they going to go back to play college, or are they going to keep their full-time positions? I think that's something that really is going to be a problem for many of these athletes, and they're going to be faced with a choice. Do I go back and finish my last year of eligibility that was given, or do I go take this job? That's what I think could be a potential pitfall of this thing with the athletes.
So what, they're not
studying
eligibility? So they're not studying at all at school for a year, but they can go play college while they're working.
That's what I'm saying. How is that going to work if they're already graduating and they finish their 4 years? How is that going to work? Let's say they're seniors. So what classes are they going to take? I'm just confused, because isn't there a certain level of classes you have to take to be considered a college level athlete? Don't you have to take like 2 classes to get a degree? That's what I'm a little bit confused about for the spring athletes.
At that point, they become an athlete. These guys, yes, we all know, they're student athletes, and whether you can argue the validity of some of their course schedules, I guess you can say, of their academic involvement for some of these guys. But the major point is, if they go back to school, if they go back to playing basketball, they're not going to be a student. They're just going to simply be an athlete, which I think takes away the whole point of college athletics, which is supposed to be these guys are advancing not only their professional careers but their academic careers. So I think
I agree with that point you're making.
It's a major issue, as we've said.
It's a major issue. With these people being granted eligibility, I don't know how exactly that's going to work out for the seniors. I don't see
the benefit of going back to play.
Are
they not draft eligible?
So here's the thing. So now I believe the rule is you have to play 2 years. If I'm not mistaken, you have to play 2 years before you become eligible for the professional sports. I think so. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. I'm sorry, someone else go for a second. My bad. I kind of lost my train of thought. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. So the whole point of them going back is because of the March Madness, if we're specifically talking about basketball. Okay. With basketball, because obviously March Madness is a major, major, major stage for a lot of these guys.
The winter athletes weren't granted that eligibility, so it's only applied to spring athletes.
Right. I'm just saying for spring athletes that this is their major jumping point. For those who are going to go to the pros, that's their major jumping point into the pros. That's where they make their names more well known in March Madness, when everyone is watching and wants to see how these guys do on the biggest stage, one of the biggest stages in sports. So I think
So
that's a big.
the bubble players would want to play the extra year, but if you're already kind of probably going to be in the draft, maybe a first rounder, you're just going straight in. But
Exactly.
if you need
Right.
March Madness, then you're going to come back.
And the first guy that comes to mind for this whole problem is Cassius Winston. I mean, I believe he did declare for the draft, but he is the point guard for Michigan State, one of the best players in the country. He's a senior, though, so if he goes back, then I don't know what school he would do. He would, attempt to complete. But, yeah, that's just one guy that comes to my mind when I think of this issue. But I think he is going to declare for the draft, and he will be drafted into the NBA.
All right. So the next topic we're gonna end upon briefly is just the cancellation of the UEFA Champions League. I believe we're gonna talk about that with Guy and what you think they're gonna do with that.
So as of right now, we know that the Olympics and the Euros, which is the European Championship, are being canceled, and they're going to be postponed until 2021. As for the Champions League, we're not really sure what's going to go on. Right now, it seems like they're kind of going towards maybe a July-August play. That's the same thing for any of the leagues like the Premier League or La Liga. So right now, I think we're all hoping that it will get played sometime this summer, but, we don't really know what's going to happen with Corona and all that.
So what do you think the loss of the Champions League kind of does for the revenue in terms of how exactly they're going to be able to market their product to around the globe? So I know like one of the things with Bayern Munich and one of their big selling points with Tottenham when they just made it the Champions League this year, is that was such a selling base to their fan base. How exactly are you going to still be able to sell the product without having that major domestic and international travel tournament that you look to anticipate to have in soccer?
Yeah, so I do think they're going to get it done. So everything's on hold right now, but I do think that they will end up playing it. So they're still going to have that. I just think that fans won't be allowed to come in, so they're going to lose revenue from that. But all the TV revenue will still be there to be had, because if they do play the games, people will watch.
Okay. Yeah, no, I get that. But do you think maybe it will affect the quality of play as well if they're playing in front of like empty arenas? Do you think maybe that
I think
fans
it will
won't be able to
affect
get up for the games necessarily?
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot out of it because the atmosphere is such a big deal, and it really adds to a lot of the games. I think a lot of players will be coming back, maybe get injured kind of right away because they're not playing for 3-4 months, and now they're just expected to play at the highest level. It's going to definitely be an issue.
All right. So that's it for our show this week, guys. We look forward to coming on next week, and we had a great time talking to all you guys. So we'd like to wrap it up and thank you guys for all your time. So we hope that you enjoy this sports talk, and we look forward to coming back to you next week. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.